Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de various identities I've created for myself to counter the inevitable question of, so what do you do when you meet new people, right? In my post-fire world, of course. Because, of course, the masses don't understand. Hey, I'll jump up here. So I think I've had the same gist of the question before. I've answered it, but that was a few years ago, and I've grown a little bit, maybe, since then. Actually, scratch that, I may not have, but perhaps just better at organizing my thoughts. So, some context, of course. I am obviously an American, and I think because of this culture's heavy emphasis on valuing work to the point of overwork, right? The most popular new interaction with any stranger would be a question of, what do you do? And let me be 100% clear, okay? They're asking about your profession, not what you do on your free time. Unfortunately, now that I've been away from the corporate workforce for half a decade already, I feel like I've gotten a different version of this answer for various target audiences, right? Some are meant to be polite, others are meant to be low information, and others just for fun, okay? So, of course, I am always open to suggestions as to how to best answer this question, so let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions, right? Especially as to your profession, either in jest or if you're already retired and have the same problems as me, okay? Anyway, if you're intrigued by what I might say, please subscribe, like, comment, share, and all that social media buzzwords or whatever, because I'm rich enough for me, and I'll be great regardless. Scenario 1, right? If the person asking me is cold calling me, either on the phone or in person, I mean, let's be clear, these days I never pick up the phone, so it's really more the random door knockers that I get at my house, right? AKA people who actually know where I live. Oh boy. My answer for this group is the easiest, man. I say, hey man, sorry I can't buy your subscription of magazines or services or whatever because I'm unemployed. Now, for bonus features, I also use this answer if I feel like the person asking me the question might lean towards the possibly slightly racist side, okay? I mean, I hope that all makes sense, right? The answer of unemployed is basically my most offensive answer because it indicates that no, I don't have any money to waste, and no, I did not take up any jobs someone else might have wanted or whatever. I mean, it doesn't hurt that it's also totally the truth. I don't, in fact, have what the government would consider any active income whatsoever. No, this YouTube channel does not count because I'm so bad at being an influencer. I don't have a course to sell you guys or even advertisers. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not against advertisers. Maybe one day I hope to shill to you guys some sort of mobile game that I absolutely would never play myself, just to enrich myself a little bit further, right? But I wouldn't do that out of greed, no sir. I'd only do that for shits and giggles, okay? Just to say that I did it. But hey, that's a dream for years away, probably, maybe even a decade. So don't wait up for that. Now, what about if I'm asked the dreaded what do you do question from family or friends or friendly acquaintances that I obviously know or but haven't kept in touch with, right? Here, obviously saying unemployed would, well, worry them, right? Actually, let's expand this category. Also to new acquaintances that I like to, if not impress, then certainly not push away with an answer such as unemployed, right? So this is my neutral answer that I use the most. I say I am an investor or a capitalist. If I think they want to have a larger conversation about it, okay? Between the two, I say investor if I want my audience to drop the subject because most people have very little interest in investing and think it's either boring math or insane gambling, and therefore we'll drop the subject with that answer, right? I would say capitalist if I think the audience is more open to fire concepts, like within our locally Choose FI group meetings that I host. I like capitalist as an answer as it is, I think it rings the most true. I mean, technically every answer I give here is true, but capitalist feels the most true because that's literally how I generate income to live, via capital that I've already accumulated, right? Obviously, I'm going to avoid using capitalist as an answer if I'm faced with who I would consider to be in a much worse financial situations than me, right? That reason should be apparent. Most people think capitalists are greedy fat cats, so I wouldn't want to trigger that type of reaction. Now, Personally, I think I must be the least greedy of capitalists because, well, I had a gig that earned me lots and lots of capital, but I chose to give that up years ago, right? So money to me is just a tool. I don't really need to hoard it, right? I don't feel the urge to. Yeah. Now, finally for fun, the answer, or the most offensive styled answer, I'd say, I call myself a gentleman farmer or a professional napper. To be clear, I have the opposite of a green thumb, so, and of course no one pays me to take possibly multiple naps that I can and do sometimes take throughout my daytime hours these days. But they're the answers that I give because I sometimes enjoy flipping answers just to see how people would react, right? So when would I use these to be appropriate? Okay, now I'm pretty sure according to my wifey, it's probably somewhere between rarely and never. But she also tolerates my randomness, even if rarely without her patented eye roll. So obviously hardly anyone would take these answers seriously, and that's the whole point, right? Maybe I'd answer like this if I was at an event with an open bar and I'm already 2 drinks in. Or maybe it's at an event where the audience is people that I would hardly ever see again, such as a friend's wedding, okay? Or if I want to instigate more conversation as to how I ended up a gentleman farmer or whatnot, right? I think you can see that realistically I'm not meeting any actual farmers to be offended by this answer, right? So this answer really just equates to, wow, this is a guy who has a story about he can afford to do, well, nothing, right? Don't worry though, in real life I am definitely an introvert, so I'm not exactly out there provoking people for giggles like a lot. So that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it, right? Not forever, of course. At least not with my fun answer, right? I'm always looking for other versions of it. We'll take suggestions, right? I would like to stick with truthful answers, if possible, though occasionally I don't mind pretending to be a, let's say, I'll call myself a professionally injured pickleball player, right? Because that's the only way that I can justify my middling play in that sport. I mean, at some point it'd be nice to be called an influencer or a YouTuber, but frankly, I really dislike those terms, okay? To me, instead of influencing people or making YouTube videos, I say I make clips of rants. So maybe a clipper? A rant-lipper? I don't know, maybe I'll test case that name. How do you define yourself? How do you define yourself based on what you do, right? I'd love to hear about it. Cheers. A la proshit.